Let's move to the NFL, which is putting its money where its mouth is when it comes to supporting the players and their fight for social justice. The league just committed $250 million over 10 years to help combat systemic racism. And reportedly would even be interested in working with Colin Kaepernick on social justice initiatives. Mark, what's your reaction to this?
I think it's, I really do think it's awesome. I mean, I think that part of the issue in the NFL is oftentimes the NFL, to me, has allowed people that hate the NFL to set the narrative of the NFL. And this seems so much more proactive than it's been in the past, which is more of a reactive situation. So to me, they're proactive. They're saying, hey, we want a partnership with our players. This is not just money to say, hey, go away and, you know, and everything is okay. This is let's create a situation where we're actively working together, actively working to eradicate some of these issues. You talked about Pete Carroll and, you know, and changing his tune to some degree or whatever. And I think all of us that grow up in a locker room or even in the television industry, all of us have a certain we've been insulated to some of the issues because in a locker room, you start to look at your differences and you start to look at, your teammates and you start to realize that, hey, what binds us together, the things that make us alike are far greater than the things that make us different. And you become somewhat insulated to the problems of the real world. You know, my focus is so myopic on my teammates and winning football games and studying and preparing and all that stuff that I think that sometimes we didn't take the time, or at least I know I haven't taken the time to truly listen. I'm just a guy that wants to love people and care about people, and to really sit back and listen to the situations and understand what some of my teammates went through that maybe I wasn't aware of, or I didn't make myself, involve myself in. I think it has all been very sobering for us. So I look at this as a league's way of saying, hey, man, we're listening. We have been enlightened. It's a sobering moment, and we want a partnership with our players to make this league a better place and to make this world a better place. And I commend the NFL for doing that.
I agree with you, Stink. And I'll add this to the conversation. This whole millennial talk that I continue to kind of lean on as I give my perspectives, right? The millennial age now, guys like Patrick Mahomes and Saquon Barkley, Mahomes is right on the cusp. He was born in 95, so he might as well be a millennial, even though he's not, all right? But here's the thing. When you look at all of these young, beautiful, amazing, phenomenal football talents, and you're able to see a person with a message that we're looking at with this video right now, this B-roll, right? You are now able to put a face that you recognize, that you cheer for, that you believe in, that you put all beliefs and different things aside, differences, all kinds, because I believe in these faces that are talking about Black Lives Matter now. So the power that created, for me, my initial reaction was like, man, listen, the National Football League has made a point of being able to ride the waves that are created, whether it was the Me Too, or excuse me, that No More campaign when domestic violence was showing its ugly face at a high rate, or Heads Up Football when concussions, the epidemic of CTE and all of those issues came about, and how do we respond to it? This is another one of those moments in time where you're looking at a big, big wave, and the NFL is not going to be on their surfboard trying to swim through that big wave when they can score a whole bunch of points jumping up on that surfboard and riding it out, right? So social media has made it very, very much, you cannot avoid this. You can't avoid it, Marcellus. And for that, you might as well jump on your surfboard and try to ride this wave and that half pipe the best way that you can and score as many points as you can while doing so.
Hey, I respect you guys. I respect both of you guys for taking that blue pill this morning, but I'm going to take the red pill, and you know what's coming. I love the NFL. Like, look, I wouldn't be here in this situation without the NFL. And I've had tremendous relationships and partnerships with the NFL. Nothing to this magnitude. So salute NFL, and I applaud you. It went from $90 million in the Players Coalition to $250 million right now over 10 years. And I always knew, and I used to say this, and I met a little backlash back in 2016 when I was saying that this is going to end in resources. This is going to end with a check. This is going to go from a situation where you're from kneeling to dealing, and you're going to have to affect all. And it looks like the NFL is in effort of doing that. But let me be real about this as well, because there is a flip side to this. There's an old saying that war can't be avoided, just postponed. And if you think about what's happening here, the real issue, why this hasn't quieted all of the Colin Kaepernick supporters, is why would Colin Kaepernick want to sign on to your initiatives when you won't let him sign on to play in your league? Remember, Roger Goodell did not mention Colin Kaepernick by name. And now in this report, he is mentioned by name. But is he mentioned by name just for cover? Like, oh, we really didn't take care of this when we should have. We know we made a mistake. We're going to pay the guilt tax, so we're going to up the ante from 90 to 250 million, but still not address the core issue, why this is still a tug of war. You can't avoid it. You're just postponing it.
Well, here's where I would argue with that point with you, Marcellus, is that the one difference is the league has come out and actually said, we were wrong. When have you ever heard the National Football League say, we were wrong? Now, not only are we admitting guilt, but now we are putting our resources where our mouth are, our money where our mouth is, and we're saying we were wrong. We want a partnership with our players. We want to rectify and help attack systemic racism, because it does absolutely, it does live in our society right now. We have seen it. We have witnessed it firsthand. We have seen the videos, and they're appalling. So we are partnershiping with our players. I felt like, for me, this is the first time that I have actually seen a partnership. Like, I always looked at what Adam Silver has done as the commissioner of the NBA and the NBA players, and I've always felt like that was so much more partnership than the NFL has ever been. And this is the first time where I've ever seen the NFL say, hey, I'll raise my hand. We were wrong, and we're going to support you guys, not only financially, but with our words and with our actions. And that's what's beautiful to me about this moment in time. We're actually seeing change. We'll see how much change there is, but we're actually seeing the first steps. At least we're seeing the NFL step toward the players and saying, man, hey, listen, we're sorry. We were wrong. And that's a big step.
Huge.
I think there's two things that we have to be careful on in this conversation. One is making it as this is a result of missing and making a mistake with Colin Kaepernick. I think that's moving the goalposts a bit, because I think the reality here is that this is coming from pressure from your biggest faces of the game. I don't think we can lose track of those are the faces of faces. There are a few missing, but those are some tremendous stalwarts for your league in that video, asking for help and asking for support and saying we matter and this matters. These messages matter. When you see that type of organization and that execution on such a high level taking place, there's more to come. So you got to pay attention to that if you are the platform in which these young men are building and growing their brands. That's for one. Then secondly, you can't connect the NFL to the teams in these situations. Maybe, let me put y'all up on game real quick. Maybe y'all don't understand. The National Football League in itself is a nonprofit, all right? While each one of the teams are a for-profit business, all right? So they act on their own. They come together and issues are discussed and done as a group that comes through the NFL. But the NFL itself is geared to do these particular things. put money back into the community, put money into charitable situations, put money into foundations and trusts. And when guys are out here trying to do certain things in the community that have played the game, they have money for that. That is the function of the National Football League. So to paint them in a picture as though they're trying to do this based upon the guilt of what they did with Colin Kaepernick, I would say is misrepresentative of what the NFL is trying to do here. I don't really care what the reason why they are putting so many resources behind it. I just hope and believe that these young men that are leveraging their voices and using them to such a maximum capacity on social media continue to mold and shape how that money is used in the partnership. Because to throw money at it is to throw a number at it, and it's a monetary deal. But when there are emotions and commitment that are connected to that, then that's when you'll start to see execution and you'll start to see real action take place. And that's what I'm hoping to see, and that's what I feel will take place as long as these young men continue to stay as a united front and come with a very clear and concise message as to what this means to them.
It's interesting. I hear you, LaVar, and I'm with you. So much of me is with you. However, without asking the why, those ill motives can still exist. Those ill motives can still lie and slumber underneath the surface. And who knows when they'll show their ugly head again. But I'm going to accept the $250 million, and I'm going to apply it as a resource to help this issue. That said, there's some parallels between this situation and what we were just talking about with Pete Carroll. Actions speak louder than words, Pete Carroll. You had Colin Kaepernick in the building in 2017. Didn't sign him for whatever reason. 2018, you scheduled him to come in. Someone from the organization asked, is he going to protest? You reschedule and postpone the meeting. That has never occurred again. And then, in this moment right now, Pete Carroll can still clean it all up, because actions speak louder than words, and sign him right now. And it will be an upgrade over their backup situation, but he's not. Now, the NFL in this situation is funny because money can't solve all ills. Like, you just can't throw money at the problem and say it's solved. Like, look at our country right now. Since the 1960s, they've thrown over $5 trillion to welfare reform. And there are a lot of metrics out there that shows that this country has not gotten better with that money. It's actually gotten worse. So the money is not the only medicine. There's a difference between principle with an AL and principle with an LE. And I love the principle right now that's coming out with the AL. Oh, give it to him. But the LE is interesting right now because if it's just guilt tax, I get it. But there is going to be a loud, growing number of people who are going to say, please, let's address exactly what the issue is that started this in the first place, instead of dancing around that issue, which unfortunately, which is crazy to say, when you give someone $250 million, you think the issue is done. It's still unresolved, especially if you're coming from Kaepernick's camp.